This video is probably going to get a lot of hate. It's not the game's fault, and it's not even really my fault, although I can't say there wouldn't be hate if there was no video, so I guess it's kind of my fault. No, most of the hate is going to come from the fact that there is a tier list at all. If you don't play competitive games, you might not know that people have very strong opinions on which characters are inherently better than others, and it's usually a heated topic within any fighting game community. So that's why making a video like this is dangerous. But let me clear a few things up before I begin. First, this is for fun. I know there are mathematical and physical reasons why certain characters in games can be better, but I don't know that math for ARMS. I've also never played the game. But I have studied it immensely, probably more than anyone I've seen in the ARMS community, so I'm just making this list based on my own predictions and experiences with other fighting games. Second, there's no reason to get angry about any of this because there's no way for me to prove that I'm right. I'm not trying to convince you that this is the end-all be-all of tier lists for ARMS. I just wanted to make a video, and this seemed like a topic I could talk about for at least 5 minutes. Third, I don't even really believe in tier lists, so I'm not taking this too seriously. I put a lot of thought into it, yes, but in any fighting game there can be upsets with bottom tier characters beating top tier ones. It's all in the skill level of the player. So don't think just because I put your favorite character at the top or bottom means anything for your potential as a player. Like I said, there are some reasons why characters are better than others, but until a deep enough meta has developed, we won't know who those characters are in ARMS. So let's get to it. The main factor I took into consideration for characters in ARMS was mobility. Almost universally in fighting games, the faster ones shift towards being better than the slow ones. This is because they can put themselves exactly where they want, faster than a slower character. This gives them position advantage and a slew of other things. To me, ARMS has especially shown that mobility is crucial. Spacing your arms out perfectly, being able to weave between attacks, having control over the air and giving yourself a height advantage, these are all reasons why mobility is huge in ARMS. So for the top of my tier list, in a tier completely on his own is Ninjara. In the beginning of the ARMS world, before even Min Min was released, it was apparent to everyone watching ARMS footage that Ninjara had a distinct advantage. He has a high movement speed, his default arms are also fast, although I'm not taking gloves themselves into account here, considering any fighter can wield any glove, and his dash ability puts him a level above the rest. The reason I think his dash ability is so good is that it's the only move in the game that gives you an unreadable, invincible, and invisible dash in any direction at any time. It basically guarantees you a win if you are able to use this at the right time all the time. You can literally keep dashing towards your opponent, with them never knowing what direction you'll appear in until you're so close that they can't react to anything you do, at which point you can either grab or knock them down. You're basically forcing your opponent to play a game of which direction will he appear next. Granted, this is assuming you have the skill to pull something like that off, but the potential is there, so Ninjara mains get to work. Next on my list is someone who also has a lot of stage control and mobility, Ribbon Girl. She's fallen to the wayside underneath the shadows of Min Min and Twintel, still above Mechanica though, rip. But her abilities grant her something nobody else can really come close to in terms of positioning. Again, this comes down to being able to place yourself exactly where you want to be before your opponent can. Ribbon Girl has her main jump and 4 extra ones after that. She can also fast fall anytime she pleases, all of which means anybody fighting her is going to have an insanely difficult time tracking her down. She has the potential to literally dance circles around her opponent, which gives her a strong mind game potential, as well as insane mobility. Third on my list is the one you've probably all been waiting for, Twintel. I know you've been worried, but third isn't bad at all. One thing that really intrigues me about Twintel is she's one of the only characters that benefits from a more defensive playstyle, although people may not see her that way yet. Slowing down time with the added benefit of being able to suspend herself in the air don't do a whole lot for mobility, but they do allow for extreme stage control. If you aren't prepared to fight an experienced and well-trained Twintel, you'll end up getting stopped in your tracks and probably unable to land a single hit. She could easily attach a heavy arm, wait for her opponent to throw out a hit, and then just freeze time and smash through everything in her way, leaving a wake of destruction behind a pair of megatons or something similar. Her time slow may not seem very versatile, but I think as time goes on it'll be used in very creative ways. To top off the train of waifus, we come to the fourth on the list with Min Min. I placed her here because she has really strong traits going for her, although nothing so spectacular to put her in the top 3. If it wasn't for her dragon arm, I'd honestly place her lower, but having an arm that keeps your gloves charged longer opens up a lot of options. Min Min isn't just limited to builds that fit a playstyle, she's also open to builds that cater to having charged weapons. I can see her doing a lot of damage under the hands of an experienced player, so I definitely think she's a force to be reckoned with. She also has a great movement speed, and her parry is also a great asset to have just for the sake of having options. Next on the list is Helix, and he's probably the one that I had the most trouble with. Helix is a mysterious character, not just in his backstory, but also in the ways that I imagine him being used. In all the footage I've seen, I haven't really seen anybody take advantage of his squash and stretch, but I think as time goes on, Helix will rise the ranks as a character who can do incredible things if the person controlling him has very precise movement and good reactions. If you think back to his reveal trailer where they showed him dodging all the hits of a flurry attack, I don't think that's ever going to happen specifically, at least not anytime soon, but it does show you the level of speed and precision that Helix can operate at. So I think he'll end up being a more technical character to play, but I think he's good enough to earn this spot. Next up is Springman. It's kind of funny that he ended up right in the middle of the tier list because everyone likes to talk about how he's the all-around balanced and good fighter, and he is balanced to an extent. He has average movement speed and jump height, as well as an average body weight. I think his abilities give him more of an edge than people realize though. I haven't seen many people play him in the footage, and I think he's just being ignored generally, which is weird since he's the poster boy for ARMS. And that's disappointing because I think he has a lot to offer. That being said, he's kind of a worse version of Min Min. I say that as kind of a joke honestly, but if you think about it, his parry ability works basically the same as Min Min's, but he doesn't have the dragon arm. What he does have is permacharge on his arms while he's under 25% health. Now don't get me wrong, permacharge on your arms is great to have, and I'm excited to see what arms people will use to take advantage of it. However, it requires you to be very close to death in order to use it, so I think it's a bit risky to rely on as an actual strategy to win. So since you can't really use his second ability as an advantage, only as a backup plan, that's why I put him where he is. Next on the list is Master Mummy. Master Mummy is a lot better than I think a lot of people realize, so although you may be making fun of him or any other character for being this low on the list, keep in mind we're only in B tier. These are still very viable characters to win with. So Master Mummy can heal while he blocks, and he also has a sort of super armor which makes it hard for him to flinch. However, these two abilities kind of contradict each other in a way. One encourages you to shield a lot and play defensive, while the other encourages you to jump in and attack with everything you have. This might confuse some playstyles and limit the options that he has. Again though, I want to reiterate that Master Mummy is a force to be reckoned with, and will most likely destroy you if you second guess him. The last of the B tiers is Kid Cobra. I haven't seen a ton of Cobra gameplay, so I can't speak to what kind of potential he has, but I do know that with his slide he has great mobility options and stage control. This puts him at least above the next two characters. Sorry I don't have more to say about him. Second from the bottom is the Forgotten Girl, Mechanica, possibly the most underappreciated character in the game. Similar to how I said Springman is a worse version of Min Min, Mechanica is pretty much a worse version of Master Mummy, and that's less of a joke this time. She has the super armor, the tanky playstyle, but she doesn't have the heal. What she does have is an extended jump, which doesn't really help her mobility. She isn't moving faster or more unpredictable, just in the air for a while. And if you think about how the targeting system works in ARMS, basically your character auto-targets your opponent with a small delay on their movement, so you have to try and think ahead of where they will be in order to be hitting accurately. This is why characters like Ribbon Girl are good. They can move in an unpredictable and quick way to make it next to impossible to track them. With Mechanica, if you spend more than just a second in the air, your opponent can just lock onto you again, and you're back to square one. There's no real disadvantage to playing her, I just don't see any actual advantage when you could be playing Master Mummy. Bottom of the list is Bite and Bark. Sorry to anyone who plans on making them their main characters. They look really cool and unique, and it's a neat idea to have a little AI helper on the battlefield, but that's it. Bark throws out a hit every once in a while, which may or may not hit and doesn't really do much damage, and you can jump on him I guess, but it's not like anybody can't see that coming. And in a super, Bark just gets on your head. No bonus damage, nothing, he just gets on your head. They're both cool and all, I just don't see anything that they really excel at, especially not against other characters. Before I end the video, I want to remind you that this is all for fun, and although I always love discussion in the comments, I'd rather not have it be a bloodbath down there, so please be nice to each other if you feel like arguing. The game isn't even out yet, so there's no way anybody like me could possibly know an actual tier list for the characters. This is just my own opinions based on how I feel regarding the characters' abilities and stats. And I've talked to a ton of my friends who are also into ARMS, and all of their tier lists are completely different than mine. This will probably change soon, it may even change immediately after release. I may very well start playing and realize Ninjara is trash and Bite and Bark are gods among spring men. We'll see. And also keep in mind that tier lists generally go all the way down to F tier like this one does. The lowest 3 characters on my list go to C tier, which still puts them viable to win a tournament, and no reasonable disadvantage for playing them. So don't take me too seriously, and let me know what changes you would have made in the comments. That's all for this video though, so if you haven't already, subscribe for more ARMS news, follow me on Twitter for news updates and information on tournaments in the future, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.